Hey Persian guy, just wanted to get back with you on the racial profiling comments and everything that's associated with that. And I appreciate the definitions that you gave. I think they're pretty accurate, right on. I mean, you took them from a source, and I had funny because I had also looked them up when after I'd post that last response, just to get it in my head exactly what we were talking about, and pretty much got the same thing. Racial profiling from Webster's is the consideration of race when developing a profile of suspected criminals, and by extension it is a form of racism, but it does involve the police, who focus on a certain racial group when searching for suspected criminals. And racial profiling is definitely having an effect, especially at airports, just given the atmosphere of the country. And not only this country, I mean it's in other countries as well. I mean, there are people who are on edge because people are dying. And I mean, that's understandable. Is it acceptable? I don't know. I mean, it depends on the extent that it goes. I mean, if it involves people who are being detained indefinitely, such as Guantanamo and these secret prisons that are happening in the Eastern Bloc that the United States is controlling, I don't think that's a good thing. If those people are coming from the United States, or if they're coming from Western countries that are friendly to us, I mean, I'm not sure it's a good thing, even if they're caught on the battlefield and held that way. But that's a whole other topic. But it is racial profiling is a form of racism. It's not to the extent that I've got another definition here of a racist is a belief or a doctrine that inherent differences among the various human races determine culture or individual achievement, usually involving the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to rule others. I don't know if racial profiling goes to that extent, you know, that the police or the security forces or even our government, and I'm not going to speak for our government because who knows what the government believes, but I don't think it goes to the extent that we are saying people of Middle Eastern descent or even of the Muslim religion are, you know, somewhat lower than we are and that we must rule over them. I think there are things involved here that don't have anything to do with religion, don't have anything to do with race, and have a lot to do with money. Because if it was all about that, I mean, we would be invading all different types of countries. All, you know, poor countries, rich countries, mediocre countries. We would be doing a lot in other countries that are Muslim if it was specifically designed to rule over a particular race. So is it hardcore racism, racial profiling? I don't believe it is. Now, are there hardcore racists that feel that the Middle Eastern people or Muslim people are less human than the rest of us? I don't know. I mean, there are some people that believe the Muslim people are more violent, and that could be a stereotype. I don't know if that would necessarily be racist. Stereotype. A conventional and oversimplified conception, opinion, or image. That was from the American Heritage Dictionary from Merriam-Webster. An often oversimplified or biased mental picture held to characterize the typical individual of a group. So if I say that Middle Eastern people are violent, or if I say that the Muslim religion is a violent religion, such as the Pope said, and violence happened because of it. That was kind of strange, wasn't it? But that would be a stereotype. Is stereotype a form of racism? It could be. I mean, it can be. It can lead to racism. But is it racism? I don't believe so. I don't believe that if you stereotype somebody, you're necessarily a racist. You are making a judgment, you're making a preconceived judgment about their race based on the characteristics of that race, or if we put it into the religious term, we're making an assumption based on their religion. But I think your point is that Middle Easterners such as yourself, who is American born and not a Muslim, are being targeted as Muslims or being targeted as terrorists. And I think if you're Middle Easterner and you're targeted as a terrorist, that's a type of racial profiling, which is a form of racism. But do I believe that all people, or the majority of people, see Middle Easterners as Muslims? Maybe not, but if you look at the Middle Eastern society, the culture of the Middle East, especially Iran, which is an Islamic state, that if somebody is from Iran, there's a very good chance, a 90% chance, that that person is Muslim. And that's just based on the region. Now, you are going basically by your appearance, and your appearance is Middle Eastern, and so since I look Middle Eastern, since I look like I'm from an area, and especially if I say I'm from Iran, I'm talking about an area that is 90% or more Muslim, and so that's how that assumption happens. Now, is the person who makes that assumption a racist? I think that's kind of a harsh word. You know, that's a pretty derogatory term towards somebody that may just have a preconceived idea. That would be a stereotype. And that to say that you're Muslim because you are Persian in descent is being a stereotype. It's not necessarily racism, or that they are a racist. That's harsh. And I don't think it quite goes to that extent. Now, all of this started because of Captain O Awesome, or Kevin. And is he a racist? Well, it says that, and this is at dictionary.com for a racist, is that it's a hatred or an intolerance of another race or other races. Now, I guess we could consider Kevin to be a religious racist because he's anti-religion. So he's intolerant. And I don't really want to go that far because there's a lot of things that he say, and I've watched his videos, and he tries to point out that I'm not intolerant of them. I just like to make fun of them. And so is making fun of a race or a religion, is that being intolerant? Perhaps in a way, and I guess it perhaps how far you take that, making fun of them, that we would consider it being racist. So I can see how people can see Kevin as being a racist. I can see how you can see that. You know, but I think that's a judgment call to each of us. You know, it's just as the people who comment on your videos and they make, you know, racist slang, or they make racist remarks. You know, perhaps if you met them on the street, they wouldn't say that to your face. You know, but they have, you know, they can hide behind the keyboard and they can type these things. But, and that might really say exactly what they feel inside. But on the outside, are they like that? Do they walk down the street and attack people of Middle Eastern descent because they believe they're Muslim, and so they believe they're terrorists, and I'm protecting the country and I'm going to beat your butt? I don't know if that particular type of scenario happens a lot. You know, but anyway, I think we agree on a lot of things, but it's just a matter of having a sophistication in how you see culture, how you see society, how you see the dynamic of how that plays with one another, how nations interact with one another, and especially when we are at a war, if we want to call it that, with another country or another people of another race. It's going to happen in your country that you're going to have that. Now I think we really need to do something about that, because war is not good, and that's the focus. And to me, that's the focus that we should all have. War is not good on either side. You know, I'm sure there are people who would say that there are racists in the Middle East. Now I know that you've said that it's probably not as much as here, and maybe not, but I think in Iraq it might be like that. You know, that there are people who hate Americans just because they're Americans. Now there's a lot that's happened for them to feel that way, and so they may have they may rationalize that hate, just as Americans can rationalize the hate against Middle Easterns or Muslims because of 9/11. But it's not right, and you know that, and I know that, but how do you change it? And I think that's where we're at. You know, how do you change the mindset of hate? And that's my angle on all of it. But anyway, still a good discussion. I know it's been a couple of days. I got a couple of music vids out there, and if you watch the Skinny today, you'll see my little intro to that. And I also went out yesterday. We had a beautiful day here and did some video out in the wilderness, out in the forest. And I got my director's account, so I can make longer videos now. So all of you that feel that I'm so boring, you know, just don't watch, because heck, now that I can make longer videos, I'm going to make longer videos. So there. Alright. Anyway, there's my take on racism, stereotyping, and racial profiling. So talk to you later. Bye.